2 weeks in a row that I've dressed nice. Well, as nice as I'm ever going to dress up. I don't own a suit. Never had to own a suit. I own a suit jacket, but I don't own a suit. But this is as good as you're going to get it. Welcome to HIAC Wrestling Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, two things first. The Twitter is alive again. Randomly, out of nowhere, the Twitter became one again with an email. After they gave us no reason that they shut it down in the first place, is now alive again. HIAC Talk Radio on Twitter. Very happy about that. Also, get rid of Sling TV and get Hulu. It's much better. Hulu Live is much better in every way. Every time I put something over, it starts to break, so I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. But for right now, Sling is just garbage. I gave them a chance. You couldn't watch anything without it stopping all the time, and Hulu is miles away, even user interface wise, than Sling. So goodbye, Sling. We'll see how it happens. And not only that, your two hosts are watching two different shows as we record today. And live on Twitch, I'm watching NXT. You're watching AEW. Speaking of AEW, by the way, Craig Lagans at Craig Lagans. We'll go over that later. Craig, last week, the show that you're watching, AEW Dynamite, hit 1 million. Had over 1 million viewers and ratings. A milestone in what began under normal circumstances has kind of become a huge hodgepodge of a cluster F since the pandemic happened. You like how I put that?
Yeah, I like that.
And here we are. We hit 1 million. I thought it was a good show, and there was a few things that happened that helped boost that.
There was indeed one of the things that happened was, as we were live doing this very podcast last week, was the debut of the artist formerly known as Rusev, under his real name, Miro. And last I saw Rusev, it was when he was interrupting the wedding of Lana and Bobby Lashley. So to introduce Rusev, they had him be the best man at yet another wedding between Kip Sabian and someone else. So the more things change. Anyway, he comes out to a very great reception. Even
Considering the numbers, yeah.
Yes, great reception. Blonde highlights. You know, his clothes, his wardrobe it was interesting, got more attention than what he actually said during his first promo in AEW. But if you have, $2,000 pants, I guess it would get more attention. He gave the same, hi, HIAC Talk Radio, the number one podcast for your wrestling needs. He did this. He did the standard. I was kept down, and now I'm going for the brass ring, and something I never could achieve, the last place I worked, which, whether it's true or not, or sour grapes, some old school wrestlers or people that have been in the business will say it's just whining. If you didn't get over, you can't blame the promotion. You can only blame yourself. In Rusev's or Miro's this case, this man was undefeated for a year, an entire year. Debuted at WrestleMania in a tank. Okay, no one else can say that. Even when after his loss, he lost the United States Championship, and he went down to the undercard, he came right back up on his own. And then Rusev Day started, which was amazing. And the chants were unbelievable. It transcended the company. They were selling Rusev Day calendars where every single day was Rusev Day. And again, got over. I thought another title run would have been in place since he was the most over wrestler on either brand at the time. But that went nowhere. So once again, this guy who's done everything on his own, who's even when given dumb gimmicks or everything, he found a way to make himself the top of the company, and he still didn't get a big a push as he did when he was undefeated for a year. So I understand his frustration, and you can't in this case, I don't blame him for not getting over or for going as far as he should, because the fans knew how good he was. We knew how
We
good he
knew,
was.
yeah, we said it all the time.
Yeah. And even when he lost the weight and was even a more athletic version of the Rusev that we first knew and was dominant, he was never pushed quite the same. So in his case, I could see where it's his promo about it not having a brass ring is something um, to pay attention to. In his case, I think he was right. Unfortunately, what AEW does, and yet again with their cast-offs, is he a heel or a face? He comes out and puts over uh, an undercard heel. Guy's not even in the main event. He's barely. I don't remember even the last time he wrestled. And now you're putting your newest acquisition, a big name from a big company, with some underneath job guy. So who are you trying to put over? You put over the underneath job guy, or is Rusev, or I'm sorry, Miros, your main man? And if he's your main man, is he a heel or is he your main face? And he doesn't, and we don't even know who he's what's his agenda. So once again, but that's AEW's case is just like you know, was just like we've talked about on this podcast before. Too many cooks in the kitchen. What makes WWE whatever it is, what it is there's one guy, whether it's Triple H or it's Vince, but when something goes down, one guy has the final say and has to go through this guy, and that's it. So anything that happens on WWE, on NXT, on SmackDown, on Raw, angle, storyline, who goes over, one guy decides that. Who's a heel, who's a face, one guy. In AEW, everyone's got their own, everyone's in charge of their own angle. Jericho does his, Kenny Omega does his, the Young Bucks have theirs, Cody has his. There's not one guy. So we're going to have to wonder what Miros is he a face or a heel? What are they doing with Hangman Adam Page, who should be the number one guy or close to the main event guy? Is he a heel or a face? The Young Bucks, are they heels now? They're attacking. They're kicking referees and kicking announcers. Does that mean they're heels? And even though they haven't attacked any baby faces, so what are we supposed to do? But that's my AEW rant. And I just wanted to say, if you're having trouble hearing me, it's because I just wanted my mask to match my tie. That's
No,
it.
no, no. I understood every word you
That's
said, man.
it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
That's
I gotta wear some of my I have listen, everybody complain about the mask thing. For Christ's sake, it's a cool thing. It's cool.
thank you.
I I have the three. I got four masks. I got Ghostbusters 2016 coming.
Hmm.
I have two for the cartoon. And the other mask I have is the CompuRhythm 78, the Roland CR 78 drum machine, made famous by Phil Collins
Yeah,
and Genesis. Well, it was
I,
used on Genesis first
I
before
was
it
going
was.
to say Ray Parker Jr., but okay, yes,
Um.
that was a joke. Damn, but I
Oh,
remember.
I was gonna say I know he's used it, but
No, but you debuted that on Facebook and it looked great.
yeah, thank you. I pressed the button and it.
Hmm.
But I like that mask because people are going to ask what it is, and then I get to tell them. The other
Right.
masks are pretty much well. The one mask is a deep reference to the last Ghostbusters movie. The other two are straight up Ghostbusters. But
Yeah.
unless you wanted to buy a $40 mask from your frickin' baseball favorite sports team, these were like $5-10 a shot.
Okay.
It's like,
Can't beat that.
now I got
Yeah.
four, and you
But
can they're reusable. You wash them, and it is dual layered. So if you want to put a filter in, you can. Um, the AEW thing. I thought the show was good last week. I'm still kind of meh with Jericho now, and that's just my personal preference. I'm not taking a crap on him. The thing to do is to crap on Jericho these days. Whatever, that's fine. But you were talking about too many cooks in the kitchen and who's booking what? And now we're going to see. If it wasn't, you mentioned Hangman Page. If any company had a clear two people that should have been pushed to the moon at the very beginning, it was AEW set up with Nyla Rose and Hangman Page.
Mm-hmm.
And I will beat that dead horse until it's powder.
Yeah.
They didn't.
No.
Whatever reason, we will find out years down the line. Still stupid. That's how I feel about it. We could debate. It was stupid to not put them 1-2. Boom. Who cares if it's predictable? It should start. It's a good starting point.
Yes.
Nyla Rose being probably the more unstoppable of the two, but my point is built in, ready to go, and you didn't go that way. I understand kind of why, but I more don't understand why. That makes sense.
Well, especially we're a year in now, and they're neither one of them are right where they should be. And yes, I'll even go you one better. Nyla Rose from the women definitely, but you're from the start, your number one heel in your face. You're inevitable two big ones that are you're a Rock and you're Stone Cold for lack of a better word, or even you're John Cena and Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Need to be Adam Page and MJF. Period.
Yeah.
And my only knock on Jericho is, and I know Jericho, he at this point he honest to God doesn't give a crap.
No, he doesn't. No, he clearly doesn't.
You look at just his weight alone makes you realize how much he really doesn't care. That his favorite exercise now, certainly not in the gym, but it's just cashing checks. But if you put that type of energy into promoting a guy like Orange Cassidy and not into an Adam Page, that's where you miss the boat. Jericho is your superstar. Nothing. Moxley's your champion, but Jericho is your get. Jericho is your, for lack of a better term, he's your Hulk Hogan. He's your superstar, mainstream guy. You don't know any, and no other casual wrestling fan will know anything about, or any non-wrestling fan knows no one on AEW, but guaranteed someone knows who Chris Jericho is. So you use that star power and you use it with a guy like Orange Cassidy and not a guy like Adam Page and not a guy like Jungle Boy. They're the future of the company. That's what it and
yeah,
and,
but you and I like Jungle Boy.
Yeah.
But the Twitter marks and one of the guys you listen to so much won't want that push because of how tiny he is and it'll never make sense and he's too small, blah, 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 blah.
He's your underdog heel.
I agree.
He's your Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
He's your Rey Mysterio.
And he looks good. And he has ability beyond his years.
Exactly. He needs to cut down on the dives. He needs to gain a little more weight.
Eat a sandwich. This comes from Fatty over here.
But this is a superstar that you have on your roster that can make you tons of money when the people come back. Not my fear, but what I believe the trajectory of Jungle Boy's career when he does hit that superstardom, it won't be in AEW. Because I still believe he needs a type of training and a type of match mindset psychology that only another brand can instill in him. He's not going to learn a damn thing in AEW at all. And that's just a fact because AEW, for all how necessary they are for indie wrestlers right now, because you're going to see an indie wrestler show up on AEW a hell of a lot quicker than you're going to see one show up on NXT or the WWE. But he's not learning a damn thing there. What AEW doesn't have is an NXT type brand where you can get training, special attention. You'll learn from the very best wrestlers that have ever lived and the best trainers of wrestlers that ever lived. There's no Tom Pritchard in AEW. there's no Terry Taylor. There's no Scott Armstrong to teach you the ins and outs. Not just what in the ring, but what psychology
There
is.
is an Arn Anderson and Tully Blanch.
There is an Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard.
Now, look, do we intercede just to
Yeah.
say, to add to what you're saying, if used correctly
Mm-hmm.
in their young minds, if you want to talk about story and psychology, you literally have two of the best, if not the two best.
Yeah.
So if they use them correctly, that could work. They
I
could learn
agree.
from them if they use them that way, but I don't think they are.
No, that's why I believe the Jungle Boy, who is a superstar, who is right there for the if pushed correctly. Well, he could be your top guy in AEW, no question.
Mhm.
But I don't believe he's going to reach his maximum potential or money making ability there. I think it's going to be somewhere else. Only because the way the AEW books now, you're not going to see that. Not there. But that being all that, AEW did 1 million views last week.
Yeah, so basically, it's like, what the heck do we know what we're talking about? Like, I don't. It's funny that we said all this, and I'm going to get to the million views in a second. No, I'll get to it now.
Hmm.
I'm glad, and I hope it continues. This is. I don't think this has been a kick in the ass that wrestling thought it was going to be.
Hmm.
Or wrestling fans thought it was going to be. It certainly wasn't what I thought it was going to be. You know, I said from the beginning in October that this will hopefully light a fire. And pandemic or not, has it in your eyes? No,
Nope.
no.
Mm-mm.
Was the '90s a fluke? I
Mm.
I don't know. I don't have the answers anymore. You know, we just assumed that the golden era could come back. Were the two, you know, because before the '90s there was. We've talked about ratings before
Yeah.
of AWA before they went down the hill,
Hmm.
WCCW before they went downhill, Crockett,
Yeah.
Vince.
Hmm.
There's a little lull and then a climb back up, way, way up. The numbers were astounding on prime time,
Yeah.
and I just assumed some of them would start to come back. But I do think if it continues, because you know somebody Vince or somebody in the WWE could look at that and go, "Oh no," and see next week that they all went away again, and then what does it matter?
Yeah.
You know, then
Hmm.
nothing happens. I want something. Momo.
Momo.
Hold on a second. I'll get to that in a second. I just saw your message, Momo. Let me finish this thought because I'll ADD out, Momo. Hold on. To ADD already. It's gone. Look at the kitty.
Okay.
But like, it hasn't been, and the pandemic made it worse. Where it was like, well, what the hell do we do now? I think I want this to light a fire because WWE needs a little uncomfortability.
Yeah.
I think that's just my 2 cents on it. I would like them to get uncomfortable again, to be quite frank.
You don't want them to get complacent.
No, and I would like Vince to retire, to be honest. I'm,
Well,
I'm over the old Carney ways, man. I'm just over it.
I've been over it.
Thank you so much, Momo, for the 100 bits. I appreciate that very much. Thank you so much. If you didn't know, I said thank you. Thank you twice. She replied, 1 million. Congrats. Yeah. AEW with 1 million. I want it to change.
Yeah.
Bring me back in. Or maybe I thought about it the other day. I'm like, did I get too old finally?
No, not yet. If you're too old, I was too old
You're
20
dead.
years ago. Yeah, I'm too old 20 years ago.
Momo. One thing to get uncomfortable, get Vince and Jerry Jones in a room together.
Eh,
Uh Vinnie Mac. I don't know. I would argue his time passed about 5 years ago, probably more.
yeah.
We were almost rid of him. He almost died on camera, and then a real thing had to happen, and it ruined everything.
Yes,
Almost got
and
rid of him.
but you often wonder if that angle had gone through, how long realistically would have Vince have stayed off television compared to how much he's been on, in the last 10 years.
I'd like to think he'd go away.
Yeah.
And I'm not ashamed of that. I appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
Danny says, "Hey there, Dan and Spidey." I would like to think that he would have gone away, but
No, his ego.
I appreciate some of the things he did for wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate the WWE Network. There's a lot about Vince that I don't appreciate or loathe. So respect in that way, but please get the hell off, man. Go away. On the other hand, go ahead.
And I as fans, we appreciate the WWE Network because we have so many uh, great matches in other territories that are available at the press of a button. I know the wrestlers don't appreciate the network so much because thanks to the WWE Network that you can get for an undisclosed sum every month, those pay-per-view revenue checks don't happen anymore.
Yeah.
So,
I know that's one thing that CM Punk brought up specifically.
yeah,
Like, how are you going to make that back? How are you going to make that up to us?
no, you're not.
That's why people are like, if you cancel the WWE Network, you're going to hurt the wrestlers. Well, you're like, why? They're not getting that money. You think he's giving them that money? Fuck out of here.
Mm-mm.
Learning the history. WWE Network helps with learning the history. I agree.
Yeah, it does.
There's a lot of good stuff in there. And there's a lot of indie stuff on there now that, frankly, wasn't there before. Now, in all fairness, there is IWTV. There's Independent Wrestling TV, which costs the same, $9 a month, and has a plethora of indie wrestling. Damn near every indie wrestling company that has the means to film and put a show out is on that network.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to catch up on the defunct Nova Pro Wrestling and Primetime Pro Wrestling I was involved in, which had nothing to do with me, it's on IWTV.
Yeah.
WWE stuff now. It's been delighting me all the last 2 days to see the love that MVP is getting by a lot of wrestling fans and I'm just going to say it, bringing these black wrestlers that were basically kind of buried or shuffled to the side to the forefront every Monday night. Whether it's an angle or it's something I don't know who's running that angle. I'm assuming it's Vince. I don't know anymore. But I know how he feels about. We all know how the McMahon family feels. What's going on in the world today? I have to say that MVP is bringing a lot of eyes to people that Cedric Alexander should have been Intercontinental Champion twice by now. I say twice because of how fast championships change.
Mm-hmm.
Cedric was wrestling at Nova Pro, all over the indies, but he was coming to Nova Pro because he's from the area every damn month, stealing the show. Period. He wrestled against who is now Swerve Strickland.
Yeah.
It's like 4 years ago now. in a gym, a sold out gym, air conditioned gym, not some high school gym. This was a Jewish community center, so it was well taken care of. And it would have beat any match that was on TV that week, period, by miles, or the year, by miles. Bobby Lashley looks damn good in that group.
He does.
Who else we got?
And Shelton
Benjamin. Sting 2.0, as I called him. Pulling out that Stinger Splash better than Steve ever did it. And I'm a Sting Mark, and I'll say it.
Yeah.
Who else we got in that group now? I haven't watched it in 4 weeks, so that's why I'm asking.
You just named them MVP and Bobby and Shelton, and they just added Cedric Alexander last week.
Love it. And then you mentioned that they chased off Retribution.
Yeah. And to go back to your earlier point, this has Triple H's fingerprints all over the
Thank you.
place.
Thank you for saying that.
He and MVP always got along. For during his first run, they got along famously. They never had any there was no never any ill will. There was never any. I mentioned on a past wrestling historian, because of the wellness policy that they put in, that's how they found his 1 in 1,000 heart arrhythmia syndrome that saved his life. That had he not had that physical, he could have died right there in the ring or died doing anything strenuous.
Yeah.
So, but he and MVP and Triple H were always got along well. And I still take it back to that device network documentary on professional wrestling that came on after a Dark Side of the Ring episode, and it showed three different types of wrestling. A teenager in Japan, and one in a current wrestler, luchador in Mexico, and a wrestler whose his best years they showed MVP wrestling in a high school gymnasium in front of about 30 people, you know,
We had around 300 to be fair.
yeah, but it was still compared to someone who wrestled in stadiums, at WrestleManias and in front of 20,000 people. This was, a remarkable step down. I thought he had retired altogether, but this documentary saw, him talk about his past, his present. He has a son now, his past drug use, his time in prison, and I thought he was done wrestling altogether. They even showed this when Kofi won the championship, and he and the late great Shad Gaspard had a big hug because they still kept in touch because MVP was a guy that everyone liked. He never had a crossword with anybody, and when he left, it wasn't he got the endeavored wish you well in your future endeavors thing, but there was never any crosswords or anything like that. So him coming back, not only looking, he stayed in shape, but always looked good. I mean, we know the guy could always talk, more than anything else. But if he's going to be, and what have we said about Lashley throughout his whole career? This is a guy that needs a manager. I
Yeah.
thought it should have been if they knew if he could have kept his mouth shut.
Day one.
Leo Rush would still be there. Leo Rush is your Black Paul Heyman. That's the guy that can get heat on not only on himself but the guy that he's managing. But failing
Easily.
failing Leo Rush, MVP is perfect for him and for Shelton. Another guy with all the talent in the world. Jim Ross has said it till he's blue in the face. This is the best pure athlete that WWE has ever had. Just athletic wise, wrestling wise, stamina. The guy has everything. He needs a manager. He needs a guy that can put him over on the mic. MVP is that guy. You get all three of these guys who are all the same age. They're all 46. They all have almost more than 20 years of experience with each of them. And you put him in there, and then you add Cedric to the group. Now you have youth. Now you have a cruiserweight. Now you have somebody in every weight class. You can have a tag team. You can have a six-man team. And if anything, it takes MVP out of the ring and more in the manager spot where I believe he excels. He can still get it done in the ring, but if he's just wearing a suit and the rest of the guys are all ready to go, he's your man. He's your JJ Dillon. Those three are your Freebirds. He's I love this thing, but you mentioned Retribution or Nexus 2.0. Last uh, week they came out and wrecked everything and ran everyone off. Well, this time they actually gave a promo, and we can kind of make it out. Every time they come on now, it's like the internet goes crazy, Twitter goes crazy, speculating on who are these people, and we can make out, Champa, Mercedes Martinez, uh, Dijakovic is another one, and they get run off by the Hurt Business, by MVP Shelton, Bobby Lashley, and Cedric Alexander. Hooray! Question mark. Who's the heel group? Who do you want to be your over-the-top heels? Yeah, obviously, and if you know that Triple H is behind all this, but going back to Vince, you know how much Vince loves stables. how in love with him he was. If you go back to the early '90s, there was like 5 at one time. You had the Nation of Domination. You had um, the Los Berwickwas. You had
DOA,
DOA.
DX,
You had DX. You had the Acolytes. And
Brood, Edge of Christian.
you had the Brood, Edge and Christian. So you've got 2 factions now. But who's your number one heel group? It works when there's one. It works when there's one. It works when there's just the 4 Horsemen, no one else. It works when it was just the NWO and no one else. It worked when it was just DX.
I can see them making the Hurt Business the face.
But you've established so much in making them heel. So why would you turn them now?
Yeah, but I mean, are they?
Yeah, they're heel.
I mean, I think they could change that.
Okay. I just.
Oh no, I'd rather see them on the face side of things. That's just maybe my wishful thinking.
If you kind of give us an idea of what you want to do with Retribution and what they're supposed to be about, I mean, I know they come and wreck everything just like the Nexus did, and they were clearly heels. But if Retribution is just people they feel like to go up on the Miro's tip, we haven't been given our fair shot, so we're taking what's ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand where you're coming from. They don't know.
No.
They don't know.
And that's probably my biggest gripe about today's product, Dan, which is why every time we start this very podcast, it's like, do we want to talk about what's going on in wrestling right now? Or did anything happen? Well, because there's no direction. I don't know where they're going. But every week I say, well, why is this guy just got, is your number one guy, but he's wrestling this underneath babyface? Or if this is your number one, big time heel and Jake Hager, why is he taking bumps from Sonny Kiss? Why is Jake Hager, who can take both Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss with either hand, why is he flying over the top rope for these guys? For either one of those guys? Again, there's no direction. There's no cohesion at all.
Well, I guess we're going to find out in the coming weeks what's going to happen. What's the next big show? I guess it's for WWE, it's Survivor Series, right?
No, it's Clash of Champions.
That's not. I don't count that. That's not a big show. I meant Major 4.
Yes, then the Survivor Series, yes.
So I assume that by Survivor Series we're going to be finding out real quick.
Yeah. We better.
I guess. I don't know. I hope so.
I guess.
Well, with that being said, for those who are listening right now, just look out for the Wrestling Historian, which is coming out next. And find it at all your websites that we're about to mention. With that being said, Craig, follow you how?
Follow me how, Tonto? Well, Tarzan, follow me at Craig Ligons, CraigLiggeons on Facebook, Instagram, on Twitter, under that very same name.
Very easy. Very easy. You can't miss it. Like you can't miss me on all social media platforms: Instagram, Tumblr, Facebook, Twitter. Facebook, I might not let you follow. I try to keep that to people I actually know now. I haven't deleted anybody, but that's like people I actually know.
Still got plenty of time.
Yeah, still got plenty of time. Give me a call. DanLaw83. The VOC Nation Radio Network is on VOCNation.com on your smartphone. Any podcast app you have, type in VOC Nation Radio Network and find all our episodes there. Watch us live at twitch.tv/DanLaw83. Watch the video on a rerun the next day at youtube.com/DanLaw83. Craig Ligons, I'm Dan, and I'm better than you.
And you know it.
And you know it. Have a good night. I'm not, it's a joke, guys. Where is it?